The hotly anticipated Durham report has officially been released, but much to the dismay of the conservatives who have yearned for it over the past 4 years, the report includes 0 indictments, 0 criminal referrals, and 0 major structural changes proposed to the FBI. But hilariously, it does include repeated praise for a person, a surprising person, President Biden's own Attorney General, Merrick Garland. Intrigued? Then click that like and subscribe and enjoy the video. So it's over, y'all. The Durham report has officially been released, and this has been 4 years in the making, technically even more than that, because, this is merely the culmination of some ongoing investigations concerning Donald Trump and Russia, and hopefully we can put this all to rest behind us. But I wouldn't be surprised if Republicans are desperate to try to dig up something else. So if you're watching and you're blissfully unaware of what the Durham report is, it's way too long to get into with any sort of nuance or sophistication in this video, but suffice it to say, long story short, you remember that the FBI investigated a potential inappropriate relationship between members of the Trump campaign and our foreign adversary Russia, which was attempting to interfere in the 2016 election on Trump's behalf because they wanted Trump to be president, not Hillary Clinton. The FBI investigated it. It was eventually turned over by Trump after he won the election. His Republican Attorney General appointed a special counsel, another Republican, named Robert Mueller, to investigate. Robert Mueller did his due diligence, and there were like 30-plus indictments. Many of those were Trump campaign-related officials who were indicted for either lying to federal authorities pertaining to Russia and the campaign, or for inappropriate contacts between Russia and the campaign, and many of those indictments led to convictions. Now, Donald Trump said along the way it was a witch hunt. How dare he? He didn't collude with Russia, even though, again, that was never the argument in the first place. The argument was the FBI had reason to believe that there was some wildly inappropriate contact between a domestic presidential candidate and a foreign adversary trying to put their thumbs on the scale for that presidential candidate. But then Trump's Attorney General at the time, Bill Barr, decided he wanted to further delegitimize the Mueller investigation, which again didn't look good for Republicans. So he appointed a second special counsel, John Durham, to investigate the first special counsel's investigation and the FBI's investigation which preceded it. So it's an investigation of an investigation into an investigation. And the Durham special counsel investigation has gone on for 4 years. And initially, Republicans were like, oh, man. Oh, Democrats, we got you now. Oh, leftists, communists, socialists, we got you now. Durham's on the case. He is going to poke holes. He's going to sink this Russian fake news, witch hunt, whatever. And then over time, the enthusiasm started to fade because it started to drag out. It was 1 year after another with no major revelation. And as a matter of fact, Durham only attempted 3 indictments, 3 compared to 30 that Mueller did. And of those 3, one of the indictments accepted a plea deal for altering an email during the investigation, which was wildly inappropriate and it was wrong for that person to do. They pled guilty. But the other 2 indictments, John Durham took to court and lost both of them in federal court. So pretty weak win-loss ratio for John Durham. And that's when Republicans really started to lose their faith. But now the report is finally released. And there's nothing new here. John Durham has very strong words for the FBI. The FBI made numerous mistakes throughout the process, which we knew about because outside of Mueller and John Durham, there were other investigations into the relationship between Donald Trump and Russia, and the FBI investigating both. There was an Inspector General, Department of Justice Inspector General under a Republican, Donald Trump, who said that the FBI made mistakes along the way, but there was no evidence of bias, and they had a reasonable predicate, an understandable predicate to investigate whatever relationship existed between the Trump campaign and Russia. That was the Horowitz report. They were like, yeah, mistakes were made along the way, but there's no evidence that the FBI was biased in its conclusions, and they had a pretty damn good reason to investigate. That was the same conclusion of a Republican-led Senate Select Committee investigation into the investigation of Trump and Russia. They concluded, led by Marco Rubio, the same thing. Yeah, the FBI made mistakes. There's no evidence of collusion that Trump, nefariously worked with Russia deliberately to interfere in the election. But the FBI had ample reason to do what they did, and there were plenty of wildly inappropriate relationships between Trump campaign officials and Russia, which constituted a grave counterintelligence threat. So all of that was conceded, and the Durham report doesn't contradict any of that. But I haven't gotten done reading it yet. There's plenty of legal analysis going on about it right now. I'm still reading through it piecemeal. But one thing I did notice, which brings us to this video, because this is in the first few pages, like the first 20 pages of the reports. There may be even more than what I found. But John Durham, this Republican Trump-appointed special counsel, who was clearly motivated politically. We actually did a video a couple of months ago. The New York Times did some incredible investigative reporting that Barr deliberately chose Durham and pressured Durham to put his thumb on the scale during his investigation to try to find fault with Mueller and the FBI's investigation into the relationship between Russia and Trump. So this was political. But you know what's hilarious? Is during this 306-page report, at least twice, maybe more, John Durham repeatedly praised an attorney general. But not Bill Barr, not a Trump-appointed attorney general, Joe Biden's attorney general, Merrick Garland, who Republicans hate. Finally, we want to thank you, Mr. Attorney General, and your office for permitting our inquiry to proceed independently and without interference, as you assured the members of the Senate Judiciary Committee would be the case during your confirmation hearings to become Attorney General of the United States. That's one. Another, after the inauguration of President Biden, Attorney General Garland met with the Office of Special Counsel. The office very much appreciates the support consistent with his testimony during his confirmation hearings that the Attorney General has provided our efforts and the department's willingness to allow us to operate independently. So this man, Merrick Garland, who Republicans despise, they say he is a political operative who just acts, he's Biden's hatchet man, which is hilarious because he's authorized the special counsel to look into President Biden over classified documents. Now we have even further proof that an actual hatchet man appointed by Trump is actually praising Merrick Garland for his patience, his grace, his forbearance, for not putting his thumb on the scale, for not revoking, because Garland could have stepped in and at any time ended this investigation, which began under Trump. At any point, Garland could have canceled this, but he didn't. He allowed the investigation to continue. So this is praise that Republicans and conservatives will absolutely ignore. They're going to look at literally every other word possible, but they will deliberately omit this. This is proof beyond doubt that Merrick Garland is beyond reproach. His integrity is beyond reproach, that even people who are most politically inclined to despise him have to say, actually, you know what? Damn, he cut us a lot of slack. He let us operate independently. And by the way, Attorney General Garland could have redacted or sealed the results of this investigation. He could have engaged in shenaniganry to conceal the harsh words that John Durham had for the FBI, but instead he released it to the public completely unredacted and unfiltered. Merrick Garland on his worst day is a better attorney general and a more objective enforcer of the law by far than Bill Barr is on his best day. So Republicans, you guys are going to have to make your peace with that. Once again, Democrats appoint people far better than the ones you do.